Hi and welcome. My name is April, and in this tutorial I would like to show you how to draw a beach. We use the screen size, so you click on the little plus and screen size. Then you make your canvas a little bit smaller, and then you pick a color. I take a nice soft brown one, beige, and I draw it in and put it on the canvas. Then I take another color, a darker one, to make a bit of contrast. I also use another brush. For this one, I go to the portfolio called Painting, and I choose the one called Spectra. We are only going to use 3 brushes in this tutorial, and they are all found in the portfolio called Painting. I put the size to around 40 and opacity all the way up to 100%. Now it's important that I draw in one drag. I don't lift my brush, I do it in one, and I do it with a medium press. Not too hard, not too light, and all the way down. This way I get something that looks a lot like a beach. Next, I'm going to make a new layer on top of all. Add a plus. I now have layer 2, and I'm going to choose a color for the water. I use a very light turquoise. You could use blue if you want to. And then I go down and choose another brush. I use the one called acrylic. It's 100% opacity, and the size is about 50. Now I will draw, the small part down here will be the beach, the sand, and then upwards it will be the water. Now I made the edge of the water. I draw with the very light 2, maybe 3 to make it transparent, and then I drag in the color. You can see there's a bit of difference, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to the magic wand and using Gaussian blur. Not too much, in this case 12%, and I still like to see a little bit of the sand under the water. Now I would like to make the sea a bit more interesting. For this I use a darker color, and I have the brush set at acrylic, and now I draw sidewards. Sometimes I will make the pressure hard, sometimes I will make it light to get a bit of difference. So I do it something like this. I also do it almost all the way to the edge, but not all the way. And up at the top, that's further away, I make it even darker. So it gets to look something like this. If you look in here, I will show you, it's a bit offline, but then if I go and hold down the finger icon, it will choose the same brush, the acrylic brush. Then I can do in and smudge it a bit so I don't see it. So that's very easy to do that way. Now I'm satisfied with the waves, but I still want some foam on top of it to show there are waves. The light on the picture now is a bit funny because of the sun came in, but it will get better in a minute. I choose a light color, and I choose the brush called Fresco from Paint. It's the one almost at the bottom of the portfolio. I have the size to around 5 and the opacity all the way up at 100%. Now I do like in circle motion or going up a bit and down, not all the way straight. You have to do it up and down to make it more natural. And then I follow the line of the wave. I go all the way too, and I can see I missed a bit over in the beginning, so I will just put a little bit here too. Then I go and choose an even lighter color and a smaller pencil. Now we're down at size 3, and I just tap on it different places, like if the sun were hitting here, and make a bit of a highlight. And there goes the sun again. I can also make small waves out on the water, and for this I'm going even smaller, all the way down to 1. And I try to make it where two colors, like where the light and the dark meet. There I make a little bit of a wave. Be sure not to overdo it and make too many waves, just a little bit. Something like this. And maybe even out here. And a little bit over here. So, something like this. I think it's beginning to look very nice. There's one last thing I would like to do. It's to make a shadow under the last wave on the beach, because the sand gets wet, it gets darker. So I go down to the sand layer, number 1, and make a layer above it. Then I go in, find the color I used. That was that one, and now I find an even darker. I go to the brushes and I go back to the one I used in the beginning called Spectra. The size I now do smaller, like around 3, and the opacity is still at 100. Now I draw like this, and I draw a bit on the sand side and a bit on the water side. And I follow the line of the wave. And it looks a bit dark now, but it will get better in a minute. I go up and use Magic Wand, go to Gaussian Blur, put my pen down and drag it. And in this case, around 11, 13, I think, with 12. We ended up at 12. That will do it. And that's about it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And in less than actually 8 minutes, we managed to make a picture that looks very nice. Please click on subscribe and like.